Hello, everybody, and welcome to podcast number 50 of the Gordon and Charisse Show. And I cannot believe we're at 50, honey. It seems like we just started, and I can't believe that we're here.
It feels like this podcast is going to be a celebration, and it's a celebration of moving to 50. But we sense the momentum just starting.
It is. And so growing and growing.
And so it grows us in inspiration and vision to think about the next 50 and the next 100, realizing the amount of people that we're going to speak to, that we're going to empower related to having more hope and living a better life with chronic pain.
And everybody that's listening, this is for you. It's not for us. We can talk to each other all day long at the kitchen table. It's not about Gordon and I in the sense of us just being caught into our own story. It's about our stories inspiring you and you having a story in your own experience with suffering and pain and having a paradigm shift that is something that you may have never expected through what you're going through. And we want to be there. We want to give you encouragement. We want to empower you to say, the Lord has something for you that is special, even when you are feeling at your lowest point. And
amen, sister.
Thank you.
Amen, sister. Let me ask you this. Let's just open up. What has your experience been like since we've started this platform, written the book, done the podcasts, and we have some other things coming out in the future? What have you experienced through this process?
Quite frankly, finding a voice. I didn't realize that all of these things that had been brewing in our marriage for the last 25 years, that being able to now just navigate through, because I'm finding that what we're experiencing is that this is an endless topic. There are so many legs, there are so many layers to our discussions.
Yes, there are, honey.
And, but the thing is, I think there were times, and I'm sure any of you listening can relate, where you feel like going through hard things or watching people you love go through hard things, that your voice becomes sometimes dim, and that it's easy just to go inward and not find the voice that you once had. And it's not about finding what you once had. It's about who you're becoming through this new lens and a new voice that God gives. And I am just so grateful, Gordon, that you have loved me through this from your end to the point where you say, honey, you have something to say. And I just have found that I'm absolutely enjoying some of the interaction that we have already with the community that's being formed. And it's so special.
It is so special.
What about you?
What about me? And I'm going to be very transparent.
Yeah.
We've started with the focus of trying to follow God's Spirit in communicating a message about truth and about hope and about faith and about transformation. And our voice has come through writing, having the book, Pursue Real Hope. And by the way, the book is wonderful. We've gotten extremely good feedback. It's been a #1 bestseller on Amazon. But more importantly, we've also had the opportunity to communicate through speaking through these podcasts. The thing that I see that needs to happen next relates to our Facebook page. We've gotten a lot of views on the podcasts. Some people have shared some things, and they're usually short comments, but I've also seen the trolls on the social media.
And right now, our current Facebook page is a public page.
Right.
Anybody can go to it.
Right.
And we have a growing community there, and it's so exciting.
It is so exciting, but where we're at in the experience is this. We have a private Facebook page entitled Better Living Community. And this is going to be monitored. I know that you and I are personally going to be involved. We're personally going to be involved with regulating the platform in the sense of people get to express their stories about healing, their stories about pain, and how they're making it day by day.
Yes.
And they're doing it triumphantly.
The purpose of this page is for the community to have a voice
And
for it to be a safe and a private place where it's not full of people that are trolling it, but it's full of people that want to experience life even in their pain.
And their voice gets to be recovered through this site.
Yes.
People will listen. People will share things. It's like a revolution. We're wrapping our hands. We're holding hands with each other to help each other run this race.
Yes.
And we don't need encumbrances. And this private Facebook page is something that's sacred to us. And we know it's going to be sacred to the community. And the Lord's already put it on our hearts. This is going to grow. I've talked about the 100,000 people. I could see this thing growing to 100,000 people where
Easily.
people are all engaged.
Yes.
What's really neat is this. Yes, we have 27, 28 years of experience with chronic pain and living practically and all these different things. But one thing I've also learned as the teacher, you can also be the student and listen to other people's stories, glean different dimensions from their life, their perspectives. It's a time to keep learning and growing in the knowledge of Christ and growing in this development as a new creation because of the suffering that we're undergoing.
That's right.
So I'd love to hear other people's stories. I see that next in the phase with our development of a community throughout the rest of this year.
And so many people, for them, the fight, as we've mentioned before in different podcasts, so much of the fight is despair.
Yes, it is.
Having just being in despair, being isolated, being completely lost in their pain. And, it's not that this platform will take your pain away. We're not trying to say that. It's not about that we have the power to do that, but we do collectively as a group have a power to refocus how we manage pain and how we work through very hard subjects to find that there is a light in the darkness.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
And we want to follow the light. Darkness does not have to be perceived as evil. It can be perceived as a place where we're being birthed as a new creation. I just want to talk about some of the things that are going to happen with this private Facebook page.
Please do. You're so excited about this, and so am I.
I am, Sharice, because I know that people want to express themselves without ridicule and criticism.
That's right.
And their opinions and their voices and their stories are just as valuable as anyone else's. And this is about growing deeper and deeper, not just in transformation, in love, in compassion towards someone who's dealing with chronic pain. I almost feel like in humanity, we have forgotten how to communicate and interact with people to the point of having compassion for them. In other words, being present in their circumstances and listening to them and caring for them.
Yes.
We've kind of just sidelined that and just kind of ignored everyone else who's dealing with difficulties. This is a time to be compassionate and kind to everyone.
I love it.
And
Gordon.
this is what this Facebook page is about, this private Facebook page. Now, the things that we're going to do, I know that I'm going to be one of the administrators. I want to be, there's going to be exclusive behind the scenes podcast content that will be on that page. We'll have different special guests throughout next year, and those podcast content will also be there. And we're developing an exclusive community, one that's going to thrive, one that's going to grow, one that's going to be inspirational. I would love it as this page turns into the light, as you just mentioned. And so people will, when they have that lamp upon their feet, they're going to know how to walk out their life, even if they have a limp. Okay?
Well, I would say this. It's not the light, but it's a representation of bringing people to the light, which we feel is God, it's Jesus, there is really a genuine light to follow in the light of Christ.
Amen. Another thing we're going to do is pop by Facebook Live appearances, where you and I will just come on in and maybe do a Facebook Live appearance or speak with different people or comment on different things. I'm very interested in being one of the leaders to help nurture this group and help grow it.
Yes.
And through the process, we might even give some coaching recommendations here and there just to help people to keep going.
Okay, so I want you to explain the epiphany that you had just this week related to that word.
Okay. I woke up at 1:30 in the morning. Okay. And we were thinking about now, how does this integrate with coaching sessions that are coming in 2022? Do we charge a certain amount for even this private group? And the Lord, well, I woke up at 1:30 and there was a burning 5-letter word etched into my heart, which was, Gordon Selly, you are a coach.
That's right.
A coach. Grow your community. You've grown it through podcasts. You're growing it through the book. You're growing it through Facebook. Now, I want you to nurture that community first. And then those people that say, hey, listen, I need to go ahead and fight the good battle for my own life, and I would like coaching help. I need particular strategies in order to move forward with my life. It's kind of like a golfer. All the professional golfers, they all have coaches.
That's even the best of the best.
Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Okay, the best of the best. They have a team of coaches to help them.
Right.
That's becoming very popular today, but no one's helping people and coaching them on specific strategies to move forward. I look at it this way. In pain.
Right.
So let's take this. You're in pain and you try to do it on your own. So it's like you're this big ball with arrows going every different direction. I'll try this and no, this doesn't work. And I think I've fallen backwards and I can't do this.
And none of those arrows are going anywhere.
None of them are going anywhere.
Yeah.
And what I would say to people to give them hope is go ahead and put a circle around all those arrows and realize that's your cocoon. And there's a straighter path for you, but there has to be strategy so that you can walk in change.
Right.
So that's what the coaching platform is going to look like in 2022. But for now, I want to hear people's voices. I want the community to grow.
We want the Better Living community to be available to everybody.
Amen.
We want it to be accessible. We do not want to charge for it. Because in our heart of hearts, whether somebody can pay for it or if they couldn't, we know that you need the inspiration and that we want to be inspired together. And we really appreciate you being a part of our lives and our community so that we can grow victoriously together. This is not a two-person show. It takes a community, and it's going to even take more of a community as we go. We're going to need more people that are helping us along the way. And but all of those things are going to come. We just are being obedient to the next step.
Right. It's step by step, stage by stage. And more importantly, right now, what's on our hearts is dealing with compassion. Now, I would like to read a quote from Henry Nouwen, okay?
Yes.
Those who do not run away from our pains, but touch them with compassion, bring healing and new strength. The paradox, indeed, is that the beginning of healing is in the solidarity with the pain. But the journey is when we're holding hands in compassion with others.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And I just added that last part of the sentence,
okay?
But that is the truth. That's what our heart is.
We can start, as you said, in solidarity, and we all do, I think. We all do. When there's a shock to our system, when things are just not what they were, we have to find gravity. We kind of have to get oriented a little bit to where we're at. But I also believe that through that, very vulnerably in our own marriage, in our own life, we've had to make the choice to re-engage with the people in our life.
Yes, we have.
We've had to make the conscious decision, even when we're hurting. When I'm hurting, maybe I'm depressed because of what you're going through. And maybe you feel like today, with the weather that's about to change again, like you need to lay down, and you just, we fight through all this resistance. But the truth is, the real fight is for community. It's for people. It's to say, even going through all those things, to be vulnerable to a degree to community. And we're not asking you that you have to put your trust in man, because that's really not where trust belongs, in my opinion. But we're called to love man.
Yes, we are.
And that's really hard. It's so easy to say it. It almost sounds preachy, and it's not. I realize that that's the most excellent way. It's the way God is defined inside of us through his son, is by the love we have for other people. And if we don't have love, we have nothing. If this community isn't founded on love, it's going to be nothing.
Well, let's may I interject?
I suppose. I mean, you usually
Well,
do.
Yes, I do, honey. But the other thing is, the people in pain, they have no energy. Most people are dealing with extraordinary amounts of fatigue. They're totally exhausted. But here's what's neat about this aspect of the social media. You can be part of a community and be in your own house.
Yes.
Or your own space.
You can stay there.
So even though you're in your own space, you can be part of our space, our community. And you can still be a participant, and you can still gain inspiration continually, so that you can follow through with making changes in your own life.
Love it.
So that's what's great about this community. It's just another way to say, hey, listen, this is going to be part of my life. This is part of my discipline. I'll be part of the community. I'll look at this maybe once or twice a day. I'd like to make some comments. I'd like to be part of something that even motivates me, because inside each one of us, we have a universe within us, and God's there, and we're there, and we're trying to fight the battles of life there. That is our battleground. And so this community is a way to say, let me gain that new strength. Let me gain aspects of healing.
Absolutely.
Let me move forward.
I love it, Gordon.
So let's do this. We can't just have a propaganda session on Podcast 50, okay? Because what we're about is sharing relevant information as it relates to either suffering or transformation.
And let's keep it raw and real.
Let's keep it raw and real. Let's talk about today. Let's talk about lifestyle emphasis, and then go from there and talk about one successful strategy for change. Okay? And the lifestyle emphasis is this. There is a huge cost for inaction. In other words, if you do not make a decision and you do nothing with your life, it's going to cost you more than you think.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Inaction is still an action.
Right.
Not doing anything is still a choice.
Right. And part of that is this, and I'm just going to speak in plain English. Never being able to see the way your life can actually be, or how you can turn it around. You do not want to be defined by how you do not live. Rather, wouldn't you rather be defined by how you live?
I think that's
so,
honestly the only inspiration that's out there are the people that are living.
Right. And I think one successful strategy for this change to say, I do want to be defined by how I live, is to think about your perspectives from an eternal view. Think about your exit strategy. In other words, what is it going to be like when life and death meet together? I'm at the end of life. Okay, here I have pain. When we think about the exit strategy and we understand our higher purposes, okay, I would encourage people then to fill in the blanks. Go backwards and fill in the blanks on how you want to live in the present.
So you're saying start with the most future perspective possible.
Right. That's where our hope is anchored.
And I think that is so brilliant. And it's even in the wisdom that Moses said in Psalm 90, verse 12. He says, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And when we realize our finite days are here, and yes, they may be racked with pain right now, but we do have an end point. I love it, Gordon, because you have done this for a long time. I've watched you do this.
I do this daily.
You do. And that, it just like resets your brain, because you go to that end point so that you can come back into the present with a different perspective. It talks about that perspective. That perspective is wisdom.
Right.
God gives us wisdom on how to live the day now. It's when we realize that our days are numbered.
Right. Let's take this. Let's give an example for the audience. Okay. We all deal with decision-making, problem-solving, pain, stress. That's part of life. And many times I need some time to process. So in other words, if I'm making a big decision and there's 10 different reasons that the stress is there, and I want to hear from God, but the pain is wearing me down, and I feel kind of grindy and crunchy and irritated by something because I really don't have control on it, or I don't see any good end to anything, and I'm totally exhausted, I go to that exit strategy. I go to that eternal viewpoint. Okay, God, who am I in you, and how do you see me? And how you see me, why don't I bring that into my mindset today, even when the problems are so overwhelming? And so then what happens, instead of me abiding in my pain and frustration,
which is completely lifeless.
Right. And sometimes I may even voice to you, I don't see any good out of this, Shrees. How can we do this? Instead of doing that.
I think you did yesterday.
I did yesterday. Okay. We were dealing with some major decision making on some different aspects of our life. And I was like, again, we have to do this. But once I go to God, once I have that eternal view, coming back, you notice that God gives me the new words. My mindset gets reshifted. I start saying, how do I want to fill in the days from now on? Do I want any embitterness? Is it worth being right? Is it worth doing these different things?
And is it worth carrying on top of pain an entire backpack full of anxiety?
No, it's not.
When most of the things that we always think about for the future never come true.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the thing that we should be thinking about in the future, which is really our eternal perspective with God and His love. You mentioned identity. You didn't use that word. Well, maybe you did. I can't remember. I'll have to play this back. But I mean, seriously.
Well, thank you, Shrees.
When you realize it's that moment where eternity is meeting you, or where the Lord is meeting you in from your eternal perspective. After this life. But there's something about the restoration of your identity,
right,
that you're describing, that He restores your identity in Him, and it's safe with Him forever and ever and ever.
Yes, it is.
And then you come back. Honestly, you do come back so, I would just say, more balanced. You're not trying to bear it all on your shoulders that are already in pain, and I definitely see a change in you every day when you it's, hey, we're all going through a wrestling match in this world,
right?
But I love how you wrestle this out.
And people with chronic pain don't just deal with chronic pain problems. Mm-hmm. They deal with all of life's issues as well.
Right.
Okay, all of life's disappointments and stresses. I can say this. When I come back to that point, after literally living practically with that eternal view, what happens is, you mentioned the word identity. When you calm down and you know who you are in God and how God sees you, mm-hmm. and you don't have to just listen to the pain. even though the fatigue is overwhelming. You'll start to see emerging to what your purpose is. You'll discover your purpose, and you'll see how it will merge with your identity.
That's so beautiful.
So that unity that occurs is also the unity in that eternal view between God and you even in that dark space in your soul. So
you listen to a better voice than the voice of pain.
And it starts you up. That revelation starts you up in a revelation of purpose, okay? And that's what kicks off your walk of transformation.
You know, sometimes the loudest voice is not the wisest voice.
It is most of the time for me.
I mean, and I even think of little children. They can be so much louder than their parents, right? I mean, they're not walking around with the wisdom of their parents. The loudest voice in the room, and even in your own head, when pain is screaming, it doesn't mean that it's the wisest. It means that there's wisdom waiting for you that God can give you. And it's that voice is generally soft, and it's hidden in the pain that you're living in.
Right. And Trace, let's just get, again, flat out transparent here.
Uh-oh.
Many times our voices try to be the loudest, and they're irrelevant sometimes.
Most of the time.
Right. It's learning to sit back and be quiet and meditate and contemplate on truth and the word and that eternal view, and just allow wisdom to fill you up. So when you do speak, the fewer words that you do have, they're powerful. They're life-changing.
That's right.
They're life-altering. And so when you walk out those steps of transformation, you know, for us, it only takes a few words. Words like, you're becoming a new creation. You're in a season of becoming.
That's right.
So that word for us, becoming, it kind of overrides all those thoughts of the idiosyncrasies of stresses and difficulty and the irritation of life, okay? We understand becoming. It just takes one or two words from God that he puts in you, like
That's
coach.
Right. Yeah.
Okay? It reshuffled our priorities for the platform, and it's even better.
It's so much better.
It's God's way. It's better.
So much better.
It's that eternal perspective.
I love it.
Okay? I'd like to say another thing. We wrote something in the book, diving into the deeper waters. The deeper you go with your life, okay, the deeper the suffering, okay, the deeper the transformation. There's more rewards. And many times as we're becoming someone new in this walk, God gives us more than we can handle. He gives us much more. And he gives us what we're basically becoming, not on who we are this second or how we rely on our former ways.
Yes.
It's the new ways that he's equipping us. And that's what's so powerful about this Facebook community. It helps to bring a picture for people where they can see, hey, listen, I see newer ways. I see broader perspectives. I see more people taking different approaches.
Yes.
And if they can do it, so can I. It's encouraging. It's strengthening. Okay?
I love that.
It's a way to also counteract fear. I know this. A lot of times when we're screaming at our most, and even though we have our identity, we're screaming and we're sick of things and we're sick of being inconvenienced. Fear is trying to become our master about decision making. Okay? And fear tries to tell us there's no cost to not making a decision.
Well, fear creates doubt.
It sure does.
And doubt is being in two minds. I have often talked about this.
And expound upon it again?
Well, fear that creates the doubt. It's exactly what was called out by Jesus to Peter. When Peter was getting on that water and trying to come to Jesus, and he started sinking into that water. And Jesus said, why do you doubt? And in the Amplified Version, in the brackets, it breaks that word down. And it really means, why do you allow yourself to be drawn in two directions? And pain can do that. Emotional pain, physical pain. It can make you divided and in two directions, and you can't go anywhere with two minds.
No, you cannot.
You're going to just be stuck. You're going to go around in a circle. And the thing is, even if the pain doesn't go away, you can have one mind. You can be in a singular thought process. You can have a straight path, as you've said before. Like all those arrows that feel like they're pointing at you, as you mentioned, that are really a cocoon.
Yes.
There's a way through that.
Mm-hmm.
Not an escapism, but a way through it as you're being formed. And there is a straight path to follow. And we're figuring it out together. Hey, we're on a journey. We are explorers. We're pioneers of pain.
Trailblazers.
Absolutely. So we don't have everything figured out. We're vulnerable enough to say, let's keep it raw and let's figure this out together, because we are going to see where God meets us in our places of the unknown, in the space of a community that truly needs to be there for people. It's going to be amazing.
You're getting fired up.
I am so excited.
Okay. So if you were going to conclude with the thought of the day related to one successful strategy for change, what would you advise?
If you base change on who you've been, you're never going to change. You can't base changing on who you've been. I love that you mentioned that eternal perspective. Base your change on who you're becoming. Mm-hmm. And who you're becoming in God. You can change. You can change when you know that you're loved, and you know that you're safe, and you know that you're becoming.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Hold my hand. Podcast 50. We love it. Here's my thought for the day.
Okay.
It's very similar to yours. Set your minds on things above and take courage to walk out your faith. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we'll say, we'll set our minds on things above, but we do not execute. We do not implement. Okay? This is part of what this platform is about. Let's implement. Let's be part of a revolution. Let's hold hands together
Absolutely.
And walk out this life together.
Absolutely.
Because it's real easy to do this today. I love God, but I really can't stand people, or I have no energy for anyone else. But God has said, hey, listen, my love is so strong that when we're unified, you'll be able to pour out my love that's in you to others.
I love it, Gordon.
And that's what this platform, that's what this private
Yes.
Facebook group is about, pouring out love to others.
Okay, quick interjection.
Yes.
Even Job.
Hold on, Shrees.
Hang on.
This was my thought of the day.
I have to jump on this because it's too important. It keeps coming up in my mind as we're talking that even Job was healed when he prayed for his friends.
Yes, he was.
And Job had the worst of circumstances. He had everything in his life. He was stripped from his family, from his possessions, from his loved ones, to his own body.
Yes, he
that
was.
was racked in all kinds of disgusting things. But
he received double portion at the end of his life.
He did. But the miraculous thing was, even the friends that were betraying him through the conversations, they didn't fully understand his pain and his suffering. He was healed praying for them.
Yes, he was.
So community is important to God. It's not about us in our bubble with God. It's that way sometimes. It is that way sometimes. But to stay that way is very dangerous. So
okay, you've moved my thought to another thought.
Oh,
okay?
great!
And,
No,
and
you
Trees,
have to
we need
stop.
to finish.
You've got to be done.
We're gonna be finished.
Don't try to one up my thought.
I'm not winding up your thought, but
come on.
I'm gonna say this. This is a thumbs up party. Our grandson would say that. Forgiveness is a big part of having that eternal perspective. And when you can forgive yourself, and if you're holding bitterness towards God and you're holding bitterness towards other people, when you walk in the power of forgiveness and really allow that eternal perspective to set your clock, okay, your present day thinking to move forward, my goodness, the options are profound and vast.
Beautiful.
Okay. So that finishes
Wow.
podcast 50.
Okay.
Okay. I did try to get one up on you.
I think you
I
just
love you to
did.
death. Again, we have the private Facebook page. We've got the podcast. By the way, you can even order the book off of our website, which will take you directly to Amazon.
What is the website?
Well, GordonandShrees.com.
Okay.
It's real easy. And we love you all, and we cannot wait to see how this next community grows and how we can be a part of something absolutely spectacular.
That's right. Let's do it together.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.